I watch these men being so empathetic. Yes, oh yeah, I'm trying hard. I'm really faking it. Now, they don't think they are. I'm being playful here, but let me be playful here for a moment. Let me show you the difference. A woman under stress has 8 times the emotional reaction. My wife's going, ants, 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 poopy diapers. I can't believe it. I got to get this done. What man has that reaction in life? You don't. Your brain isn't designed to do that. You can't walk in her shoes. We can attempt to walk in somebody's shoes. There's no problem with that. Like if somebody's suffering, I can certainly step into their shoes because I've suffered enough in my life. I can be empathetic to suffering. But when women are being upset about moderate things in life, men's brains do not respond the same way. So what is the number one complaint women have when they come to us as therapists? He doesn't understand. He doesn't understand. Or he doesn't listen, but then that leads to he doesn't understand. And we men are fools. We're not educated, but I was a fool. My wife, for the first 6 years of our marriage, one of our biggest arguments was she'd say, no, you don't understand. I'd argue back. Yes, I do. How could I really understand? I'm not a woman. I wouldn't react the way she reacts to situations. She's reacting normally. If I reacted that way, I'd be abnormal. And so I'd say, I understand. She'd say, no, you don't. And one day I said, you're right. And the argument stopped. I can't tell you how quickly arguments stop. When women get into the you don't understand, instantly men, you're right, I don't. And then stand there. I'm trying. That's it. Nothing more. That's the magic phrase. Now, I'll tell you where I learned that. I learned this secret. We were at Vail on a vacation. And my wife, I walked up, she said, oh, the most cute thing just happened. I said, what was it? A little boy wanted to play with all the other little boys. And in Colorado, they have these little fountains that come out of the ground, and the water squirts, and the water squirts, and the kids all go and play in it. And the little boy wanted to go play in it, and mother said, no, you can't go play in it. I don't want you to get wet. I don't want you to get wet. Oh, please, Mommy. No, I don't want you to get wet. And finally, the mother gives in. She says, okay, takes off his shirt, rolls up his pants. But don't get your pants wet. Promise you won't get your pants wet. I promise, I promise, I promise. Then the little boy goes and plays. He gets all wet. His pants are completely wet. He comes back to his mother. She says, you got your pants wet. He goes, I know. She says, but you promised you weren't going to get your pants wet. I tried. My wife told me that story. I've never forgotten it. I just stand there and go, I tried. The least words, the better, men. The least words, the better. Because the more words you say, she's going to have 10 words in response, and it has the effect on him of pounding him out. So then you get defensive. The less words you say, the more you can stay centered in a non-defensive place. But if you feel attacked, threatened, or challenged, you're designed as men, you're warriors. You're designed as men to get defensive. And maybe one thing we can learn as therapists is to not teach people that it's bad to be defensive. It doesn't work when you're defensive, but of course men are going to get defensive. You just thrown an arrow at him. He's supposed to get defensive, otherwise he'd be dead and his whole family would be died out. If the arrows are flying, men are supposed to get defensive. That's what we're supposed to do. You go, good, he's defensive. Now let's try to communicate in a different way so he doesn't get defensive. To say to someone, you're getting defensive, is the most worthless thing to say. It's an attack. It's throwing an arrow at someone. It's saying you're doing something wrong. And then if they weren't getting defensive, they're going to get defensive now. There's an old Chinese proverb which means to take offense is to offend. To tell someone that you're being defensive is you're now attacking them. You're just going to make it worse. And you're being defensive by attacking them. So it's like futile to go that way. Whenever somebody's getting defensive, you can notice. And that it's me who noticed that has the responsibility to bring peace, whether it be the man or the woman. What a woman can say if what you're saying is, you're not listening, you don't understand, never say that. It's like throwing arrows at him. Instead, here's another way of doing it. One simple thing. You might write this one down. Could change your life. One simple phrase. Instead of saying you're not listening, instead of saying you don't understand, say this. Let me try saying this differently. And what message did you just communicate? that they didn't understand you and they didn't hear what you said. Let me try saying this differently. And since most of us are parents, let me translate that into parental support. The biggest mistake, and biggest I mean biggest, that I see mothers making is they look at their little boys and little girls and say, "You're not listening. You're not listening." Or they say, "Listen to me. Listen to me." And kid listens to you. He knows what you're saying. But that's not what you're saying. You're saying one thing, but the meaning is something else. When you say, "You're not listening to me," what do you mean? You're not obeying me. But that sounds too controlling, so you don't say, "You're not obeying. My wish is your command. You will do what I say. I'm your parent." Which is nothing wrong with being the parent, saying, "This is what I want you to do. Do it." You can do it nicer. Sometimes you do it firmer. But be direct. Don't wish around this confusing message of, "You're not listening to me. I want you to listen to me." The little boy is hearing you. He says, "I know. I can hear what you're saying. I'm just not doing what you're saying." I don't want to do what you're saying. And you keep saying, "You're not listening." "Oh, yes, I am, and I'm not doing what you say." And you've got a power struggle. What's another? Words can be potent tools. If you say you're not listening, you've just cut the child off from you. You cause the child to disconnect. Instead, don't use that phrase. This is what you say. "Johnny, I want you to cooperate." Not, "I want you to listen." You go, "You're not listening. You're not cooperating. This isn't working for me. I want you to cooperate. Right now, I want you to cooperate. This is what I want you to do." Every child is wired to cooperate with their parents. Sometimes you have to repeat it a few times to remind it that programming is there. But cooperate is the magic word. And the irony is, for women, just to keep in mind for this men, cooperation, togetherness, is a major oxytocin stimulator for women. Meaning that it will raise her oxytocin levels. So I teach men about the scoring points thing. And suddenly women make sense. Just that one concept has changed so many relationships. Because the guy looks at his wife who's complaining and unhappy and goes, "Why would she be unhappy? I do all this stuff for her." And I say, "What do you do?" "That's 1 point. 2 points. That's nothing. You got to score some big points here." "Well, how do I do it?" I say, "Well, you get this every week. You can do this. You bring her some roses. If you can only afford one, then bring 1 rose. 1 rose is 1 point. 12 roses is 1 point. So if you want 12 points for your roses, how do you do it? 1 rose at a time. 1 rose at a time. Little things keep stimulating the oxytocin. And why is a rose symbolic of romance? Because romance stimulates huge oxytocin, huge oxytocin. And why is a romance about that? It's about beauty. So you see how beautiful something is, you compliment it. Smells good, you notice the smell. Another little trick for an extra point, men, you give her a hug. She's wearing some nice perfume or something. "Oh, you smell so good." She goes, "Oh, he noticed. I have a scent." See, you think they put that on for you not to notice? "Oh, you smell so good." Big points, you go, "Oh, look at those shoes, honey." Finally, a guy notices the work I put into these shoes. And they even try to help you. I'm looking at those shoes there. They glitter. They glamour. Anything to get them to notice. See, I got feet here. Okay, look all at me. See all of that glitter all over me. Notice the glitter. "Oh, you look beautiful. Oh, you're wearing that necklace. It looks great on you tonight." She goes, "I knew it was the right pick. After I looked through 15 things, that's the right one." Notice, attention, bring her. It's the little things that make the big results. And this is all build up because I really want to share with you my